Welcome, visionaries. This is your host, the INFJ Visionary. And the topic of today's broadcast is, well, I'll tell you, I was looking around, and sometimes what I like to do is just search YouTube for INFJ and see what comes up. And one of the things that comes up is essentially how we are different from other people. Now, I could just make the topic, I guess, how different we are. I think I have a YouTube broadcast already called "Born Different," which is a great subject line, and I have noticed that the better the subject line, the better the viewership. But we do our best. Either way, we show up and we talk. And yeah, I'm different. I've always been different. It's not something I ever asked for. In fact, one thing I thought would be awesome is, with now with all this AI and stuff, and they've got all this, they're talking about extension of human life and things like that. We've all remember that movie. I forget the name of it, but the guy essentially takes a pill and he's 30 IQ points smarter and figures out all the problems in his life and makes tons of money, and that would be great. That would be great for a start. But one thing I thought would be really cool is if you could take a pill and just be like a normal person. Oh, honey, you need to go to that party with me. Oh, wait, let me take my pill and then I'll be fine. I'll be just like everyone else that enjoys going to parties. Which is not every type. I don't think. In fact, supposedly INFJs were supposed to be among the more extroverted of the introverts. Some people say we're the most extroverted of all the introverted types. I would say that would be an ISFJ, more so. They can oftentimes pass as extroverts because of their deep, deep concern for the community. Now, INFJs, we have a sense of the community, and this is, by the way, a great test. If you don't know, I don't know if I'm an INFP or I'm an INFJ. I got the test. I got the test for you. It's very simple. Just ask yourself, or have someone else ask you. It's like, how do you feel about the group? What do you think is going on with the group right now? And anyone who's an INFJ will know what's going on with any group that you're talking about. It could be the people at work, it could be the people in the community or your church or any of these things. But the INFJ will always know what's going on with the group, the temperature of the group, and what the group is concerned about. And in some ways, this is a boon to us. But living with an INFP who's very similar to me in a lot of ways, but definitely not in that way. Also different. I think your INFPs, your INTPs, they are a lot more isolated as types than many others, and different. I would probably venture to guess. I know a few INTJs, but the thing is with the INTJs is that the way they're wired, they're extremely adaptable. And an INFJ can be somewhat adaptable, but I don't think we're as effective in the external world. And you could maybe, actually, certainly as an INFJ, you can be effective in the external world, but you better really be able to wrangle with the cognitive stack you're dealing with and how things are lining up. I have noticed, since I'm with an INFP, that she's got a far greater ability to realize her goals than I do. Now, I've accomplished more than a few of my goals, and to be honest, I'm not that big a believer in goals. I prefer processes. So, what's an example of that? Well, I'm an artist. I make paintings. I love paintings, but I don't get too attached to any one painting I'm doing. I'm much more enamored with the process of making paintings, of thinking about the next one I'm going to do, and just creating things. than I am with the outcome, or say marketing the outcome, or getting acknowledgement from the world for the outcome, or being acknowledged as being one of the great artists, which, obviously I think I am, but art history will be the judge of that. And this is all part of how we're different. I think that's definitely that there are other types that might struggle to thrive. One thing I've heard is that now I was booted out of my parents' house when I was 17, and in a way it was a real blessing because I had to get a job and get an apartment. And I still got on with my parents and stuff, but I was too different for them to, especially my father, I was too different. The things that were important to me were too different from what was important to him, that we couldn't have peace there, and it was his house, so I had to leave. But in the case where you maybe have a different set of parents, a lot of INFJs have this failure to leave the nest syndrome. I guess I just called it failure to thrive. In a sense, I think that's accurate, because if you don't leave the nest, then in a lot of ways you're always going to have to be modifying yourself to make sure that you have carved out the security in your life that you're going to need to be happy. And that might be just putting up with your parents' crap. And I'm not blaming anyone or knocking anyone. I think if I'd had a different situation, I certainly would have loved to have stayed at the parents' house. As it stands, I didn't love being in the work world. I love working and I love doing things. But what I don't love is having to get up every day and do the same thing, especially if it's not something that I would choose to do. You're just doing it for money, just to pay your bills. And I did lots of that for a long time. And not just a person that had to show up for the job, but a person in a management capacity that actually had to make an effort to motivate others to perform. So there you go, right? We can adapt. We're very adaptable, and in that sense, we can make things happen in the world. I used to have a little button I would put on my work apron saying, "I make crap happen," and in the context of that job, I certainly did. But in the context of my life, I've seen other people go much farther, much faster, and have much greater aptitude for the external world. Where I think we are strong, INFJ, is the interior world. I think we have that absolutely nailed down. And we have that in common with the INFPs. The INFPs are also masters of their interior worlds. And I think Jung himself said that the INFPs were, in his opinion, the most difficult to understand. But keep in mind, he was an INFJ, so he would have some insight into understanding INFJs. I think that the intuitive intuition, wow, it's not something you can nail down. And why would you want to? You just want it to work for you. And like I say, it's the water we swim in. We don't worry about the water unless the river's running dry. Anyway, yeah, we can't use that born different tag again, but we're getting close to 30 broadcasts now, and we're going to be covering a lot of the same ground, because let's face it, the same sort of things hit us every day when we wake up, and just going through this, this what comes up for INFJ just with a regular search. We have topics like getting to know the INFJ, and another one's only INFJs will understand, and here's one, everyone complains except the INFJ. Your gaze reads soul, INFJ. You see what they can't see. All of this, you see a theme there? That we're all different, singular. What this INFJ weird energy? Let me pull this over here. I can't really read that. That so many people talk about is, some of these channels are okay, by the way. I'm not dissing nobody. Things INFJ men do. Why INFJ men are so attractive. And, well, yeah, it's true. What can I say? The INFJ visionary is an attractive INFJ male. And until he comes back with another broadcast, just hang on to it.